I've been noticing a bit of a trend on Roblox, which is that a lot of people seem to be trying to make their avatar look classic, like it's from around 2008 to 2012. This has been a thing for a while, of course. You know, not everyone's interested in looking like an e-boy that got sent through a wood chipper, but as the omnipresent march of time moves ever forward, and as Roblox gets more corporate and less appreciative of their history, a lot of people are doing their best to hang on to those remnants of a much simpler time. There's just one problem. Most of you are probably doing it wrong. The classic era of Roblox avatars is unique and mysterious, offering a variety of accessories and avatar styles ranging from charming to absolutely cursed. But it does have a sort of unspoken set of rules to it that if you don't follow them, kind of ruins the vibe. So I'm here today to speak those rules. Throughout my time making videos about old Roblox, I've seen a ton of different examples of how to correctly do this aesthetic. And I'm confident that by the end of this video, you'll be able to not only dress like a classic player, but a classic pro player, able to rock up to the Iron Cafe and have 10 blocky girls throwing themselves at you at once. And then you'll die because you just got tackled by 10 people. Let's get started. When considering the body, most people usually just keep the blocky R6 default body parts, maybe slap on a classic looking face, and maybe throw on some interesting skin tones if they're really feeling spicy, and then just leave it at that. But there's so much more that you can do with bodies that was actually fairly commonplace back in the day to really let people know you were creative and or a baller that people seem to miss now. First up is packages. Roblox calls them characters now, but in the days of classic Robloxia, they were called packages, and they served as an interesting way to break away from the blocky R6 body that everyone was stuck with at the time. Now, I shouldn't have to say this, but do not use Arthro. I repeat, under no circumstances are you to use Arthro. Arthro can be cool at times when worn correctly, but for obvious reasons it does not fit into this aesthetic whatsoever and will instantly ruin any classic outfit you're trying to make. You're going to want to look for the more stubby, shorter, and wider packages that fit the proportions of a default Roblox avatar. I recommend sorting by price from highest to lowest because most of these classic Roblox packages hang out close to the top. Yeah, unfortunately these packages were pretty unaffordable, which might be a reason why people tend to stay away from them nowadays, but they were also exclusive only to Builders Club members until 2013, so they were, and in my opinion still are, a major flex. If you like the look of these classic bundles, but you don't like that you can't customize them with classic clothes, well, you can. Just look for bundles with body parts that keep the white skin tone of the dummy head, and suddenly you can be a Sparkle Time robot, or a space pirate, or an Adderite astronaut. The possibilities are quite limited, actually. There's not a whole lot of these, but the ones that do exist are super cool. Oh, and also, believe it or not, the Core Blocks Death Speaker and Headless Horseman bundles were both published in 2013, which, depending on who you ask, makes them classic. So if you're a recovering Slender who's trying to relive the glory days, you can still put those little investments to good use just by, you know, using all of the package you bought. But not everyone likes packages, and some of you are trying to relive the days before packages were even a thing. You might think this bars you from body customization, but you're actually wrong about that. Custom heads were mostly released in 2008 and 2009, and while a few of them are still available for free, most of them are now off sale. If your account has been around since before 2017, you may own a few of these things, and if you do, you should be wearing one because they're incredibly charming and unique. According to the Roblox wiki, they were pretty unpopular when they were first released, but now that they're gone, they're becoming very nostalgic and sought after. Now, I did say that a few of them are still available for free. Most of them are unfortunately kind of just the default head, except shaped slightly differently, but there are two standout ones, Roundy and Blockhead. These can be cool if worn correctly, but since pretty much everyone knows they're free, you're not really going to be fooling anyone into thinking you're veteran with them. Heck, the Blockhead is actually known by some people as the head that the legions of spam bots that used to invade comment sections and followers pages all over Roblox used to wear. But if you're looking to cosplay as, say, Sorkus, one of the most OG administrators on the Roblox staff team, you could give it a try. If this still can't quench your thirst for custom head shapes though, there's one more option you can try, and it's an option that only started existing very recently actually. UGC. Now, yes, I do know that UGC in classic avatars is a really hot issue at the moment with a lot of strong opinions floating around in the space, and I'm going to address it in more detail later. But for right now, just know that there are a few hats you can buy known as headless replacements. If you wear the headless head from the Headless Horseman bundle and one of these hats at the same time, it'll look like you have a custom head shape. The downsides, of course, are that you can't customize your face or skin tone, but the head shapes do go kinda hard, I have to admit. Just stay away from these weirdly detailed heads because although they might look classic to some people, they actually aren't, trust me. You're looking for monotone, low poly heads with a default smiley face. Now, speaking of faces, let's talk about those. It should be obvious that when choosing a face, you're going to want to stick to only the faces that were made before like 2012 or so. Probably nothing with white on it, not a ton of detailed lines, nothing too clean looking, a classic face. But here's where I'd like to point out something important that a lot of people don't usually talk about, which is that if you want to look like a pro classic player, you might want to think about investing a little bit more into your face than most people usually would. Many classic faces like Finn McCool, Happy, and Drool are super cheap, like sub 25 Robux cheap, and some of them, like the infamous Chill and Check It faces, are even free. But because these faces are super cheap, they're favorites of young kids, and young kids often get most things, including classic avatars, wrong. As a result, some of these faces have fallen into a sort of faux classicism where they're technically classic, but if you wear them around, most people will see you as cheap or inexperienced rather than veteran. If you sort the list of faces by low to high price and you scroll down past even just the 100 Robux mark, you'll start to run into some classic faces that aren't so popular. Faces like Mysterious, It's Go Time, Rar, and I Am Not Amused have a much more different and interesting vibe to the more mainstream classics, and more people should take advantage of that when selecting their face. Also, if you're a trader, try to get your hands on a limited face or two, because the ultimate flex back in the day was having a colored face. Even in 2016, 2017, when I joined, I remember people fawning over avatars featuring faces like Red Fang and Imagine. Roblox Madness is also great if you have a glasses accessory and want to trick people into thinking you have the epic face, and if you're a real mad lad, why not try dumping all your life savings into the ZOMG hat selling face? No, seriously, if you actually own this, you need to be put on some sort of watch list, goddamn. Oh, and one more thing, this might just be a personal preference, I don't really know, but it's been my experience that duller or plainer skin tones like white, tan, pastel blue, and yellow, or black kinda sell the classic vibe more than vibrant ones like toothpaste blue and lime green do. Additionally, before mid-2009, these were the only colors on Roblox, so keep that in mind if you're looking to select some interesting skin tones. Simply put, even before choosing any accessories or clothes, there are a ton of stuff you can do to make your body more interesting. A blocky body with awesome clothes and hat themes is all well and good, but if you can theme your body around the stuff you're wearing as well, you have a truly great classic avatar on your hands. This section's probably going to be shorter than the others because there wasn't exactly a whole lot of unique things you could do with clothes back in the day, but it needs to be its own section because clothes are unique. And right off the bat, by clothes, I of course mean classic clothes. If you thought I was talking about layered clothes, you might already be too far gone to be saved. Depending on how far back you want to go with your avatar, your clothes' detail level can be anywhere from pretty detailed to straight out of MS Paint. But the general rule is that they should be low resolution and low quality. If you're looking to go especially far back to like 2008 and before, you're gonna eventually hit the point where shirts and pants didn't even exist yet, at which point the only clothing that existed was t-shirts. This was the era when people tried to create the illusion of clothes by making their skin tone different colors, and then added a t-shirt on there to make it look like they were wearing an actual shirt, which remained commonplace for new free-to-play users a while after shirts and pants were actually introduced because they couldn't afford much else. I think at some point there was an update to the website that caused all players to stop wearing whatever t-shirt they were wearing at the time, because if you go to the profiles of a lot of these ancient inactive users wearing nothing but t-shirts on archive.org, you can see that they're still wearing the same outfit as they were all those years ago, except their t-shirt is gone, and as a result, they've been hit with the anti-naked default pants. Some of you might already know this, but until 2013, if you weren't wearing a shirt or pants, your avatar would have studs on its shoulders and feet. So if you're going for a conventional classic blocky look, you'll want to search studs on the clothing page of the catalog and pick up this shirt and pants, which will replicate the old studs for you. If you're looking for some specific clothing trends that were popular, my default suggestion would be plaid shirts or hoodies/jackets over t-shirts and jeans, ideally poorly formatted with lines showing where the clothing template wasn't quite lined up correctly. If you want something more unique, look for low-detail armor, robes, or assassin outfits. Fantasy was a very popular theme back then. There are some designs that are famously classic that you can try, such as Telemon's robe, the classic ninja costume, Evanescence, the lava and water pants, and the noob outfit, but in my opinion, most of them are so overused that they kinda stopped becoming fun at this point, but if you still like them, don't let me stop you. Now, unfortunately, in your journey for the perfect pieces of classic clothing, you're probably going to end up finding that a lot of the best designs are off sale, but there's actually a secret trick you can use that I'm pretty sure not a lot of people know about. If you go to the catalog page for any old piece of clothing you want, and you take its ID in the search bar and subtract 1 from its ending number and then press enter, you'll actually see the image of the template that the original uploader used to upload the shirt. Then you can just download that template and upload it yourself, and you get your very own copy. Keep in mind that this only works for really old pieces of clothing because newer shirt templates aren't stored that way anymore, and also the more popular the design you're trying to upload, the more likely it'll be that Roblox's anti-copying system content deletes it, but for old obscure classic clothes, this is an awesome trick. Alright, this is the big one. Your body is the core of the avatar, and your clothes are the accents, but your accessories make it complete. They're what make you, you. How do you choose the right accessories to make an awesome classic avatar? Well, just choose accessories from the time period you're trying to imitate. That's basically it. There's a website called Roblox.trade that you should really start using regularly if you're interested in finding out more about old Robloxians and catalog items, because it hosts basically all of the information we have about them. It has archives of the profiles of every terminated user right before they were terminated. It has estimations for the number of copies of each hat, both on sale and off sale. It has even more information about limiteds than roll-ons. It's just all around a great site. If you go on Roblox.trade and click Roblox Catalog under the Catalog tab, you'll be met with a list of every single avatar accessory that Roblox has ever created. You can then sort this list by pretty much any metric you can think of, but the one we're focusing on is oldest created. Also, make sure to turn Show Not For Sale off, because we're looking for items that we can actually wear. What you've just created is a list of every single classic Roblox hat on the catalog that you can still buy, and some of these kind of surprised me. Like, I fully thought this Master Chef thing went off sale long ago, because it's a very 2000s reference, but nope, it's still alive and kicking. A lot of these aren't the most stylish items, but in my opinion, that's actually a plus. I like to see charming and unique looking accessories in classic avatars, and if you have an accessory that most people would call ugly, and you actually managed to make something cool out of that, I consider that an extremely standout and all-around awesome avatar. But if you're dead set on keeping stylish, there are some stylish accessories on this list that I'll bet you had no idea were very classic and historic, like Mr. Tentacles, retro 3D glasses, Empyrean raiment, and the Starblocks latte gear. Go nuts. Now, if you have the funds, you could also always go limited. The reason why I haven't mentioned limited accessories up until this point is because even the cheapest classic limiteds, except for a few eggs, are worth around 1k each, which is expensive for most people. But actually, even those cheap eggs can make for a great avatar when paired with the right clothing. A friend of mine, Shaggy Enthusiast, has actually created several really cool outfits with them. Most of them aren't exactly what I'd call classic, but they do show how cool egg outfits can be. But hey, if you do have the funds to get some high value limiteds, more power to you, and there are several limiteds you can get right now that most other people can't get that are classic as heck. For one, if you want to keep stylish and flex-worthy with classic limiteds, you'll have no problem with that, as many of the most iconic limiteds on the catalog were created years and years ago. Valkyrie Helm, classic Roblox Fedora, the Void Star, Clockwork's headphones and shades, Sparkle Time Fedora. All of these and much more were created around 2007 to 2008. You don't have to wear these in a core blocks and headless outfit. They work just as well on a classic avatar. Getting less conventional, there's also the elemental helmets, the pumpkin heads, the ice crowns, the bucket hats, the shaggies, and many more classic series to collect. Even if the retexture you're after turns out to not be from the classic era, the mesh alone is usually enough to make it passable. But if you're really looking for something fresh and funky, why not try the rares section? If you go to Rollemon's limited catalog, select categories, and toggle only rares, you'll be exposed to a whole world of extremely classic and high valued accessories that you probably never even knew existed. Flag, Emperor, Crown of Om Nom Nom, the Azure Gate Bridge, Admiral of the Royal Skyfleet, the Dread Visage of X Maximus X, the Headdress of Akhenaten the Sun King. Imagine owning a hat so badass that it automatically crowns you the Sun King of Roblox. This could be you, for real. Pretty much every high value limited on the catalog comes from a very historic background and will work in a classic outfit, and if you're not sure about something, all you have to do is look it up on the Roblox wiki to see when it was created. But the general rule is that if it looks classic, it probably is. Well, that's pretty much all the categories of Roblox hat that exist, so I guess that's the end of the video, huh? That was a little shorter than usual. Thought this video would be longer. Anyway, I've been... Wait. UGC? Oh. Yes, it's no secret that UGC creators have been getting a little bold lately, specifically with their limited and classic bypasses. I made a video where I mentioned my thoughts on this a few months ago, and I basically said I thought these were nothing more than sort of growing pains as the UGC catalog slowly expands to become inclusive to all possible creators, but at the rate things are currently going, I'm not so sure anymore. Underground communities are quickly developing with the express purpose of thinking up new UGC accessories that either look extremely classic, are straight up knockoffs of already existing classic items, or both, and releasing them in very small slots of time for absurdly high prices to create rarity. These items have the general low poly, low quality, homegrown MS Paint style vibe of classic limiteds and off sales, and they have the rarity to prove it, but they were actually only released very recently. And, you know, I may or may not own a couple of these, one of which might have only 22 copies currently, making it rarer than the Hooded Heroes, which may or may not have been the entire reason I got it, but I can definitely see the argument against them. The entire reason classic items are special is because we know that they have a rich and interesting history behind them, and that they hail from a time when Roblox was a much more different and mysterious place. The low quality style that they have is a sign of their respectability, but it's not its source. When we start taking this style and mass producing it like we're doing now, we're taking away from what makes these actual classic items special, and stripping that style of all of its meaning. It's like finding a beautiful fountain of youth in a forgotten forest that a mythical tribe of elves has been drinking from for thousands upon thousands of years, and then setting up a factory outside of it and mass producing it in bottles as all-natural immortality juice. But conversely, style's a style at the end of the day, and if all you're looking to do is look classic and you don't care about how you get there, have at it. In the future, when UGC limiteds, or collectibles, I guess, become a thing, these might even turn out to be a good investment. You might be getting in on the ground floor of the dominus of UGC with one of these. Or Roblox might content delete them all one day for bypassing their rules about copying concepts. I don't know. We'll see. Anyway, if you want these things, your best bet is to join a bunch of UGC Discord servers, which will ping you when they're on sale. I'm not going to link them anywhere because they're kind of against the rules and I don't really feel comfortable with that, but if you troll through the social links of a certain few UGC groups, you'll probably find them eventually. Before we end this section, I'd just like to quickly advise you against a bunch of things I've seen people do when making classic avatars that kind of grinds my gears when I see them and you should probably not do. All of these are pretty big giveaways that your classic avatar is fake and you're probably not going to be winning anyone's respect if you do them, so please don't. Number 1, mistaking basic for classic. Just because you find some single color, low detail UGC that vaguely resembles the concept of classic items you've seen before doesn't actually mean it makes you look classic. A blocky body with some very obviously cheap UGC on it isn't really classic, it's just boring. Number 2, wearing accessories that didn't exist or weren't commonplace back then. Most front accessories were created after 2016. Most waist accessories were created after 2016. You can't walk around wearing accessories like the cartoony rainbow aura and expect to be thought of as classic. Also, most free accessories, and unless we're talking about UGC bypasses of the classic style, pretty much any item created in or near the 2020s is way too detailed to ever be considered classic, and yet I still see people walking around like this and expecting to be taken seriously. Number 3, wearing an insane amount of accessories. Believe it or not, before 2010, Roblox characters actually couldn't wear more than 3 hats without using glitches, and even shortly after 2010, wearing that many hats wasn't as commonplace as you would think. Yet I continuously see people trying to flex how classic their avatar can be by wearing every single old limited they own at once. In applying so much aggressive classicness to your avatar, you can actually end up destroying any classicness your avatar had to begin with. Keep it simple. If you want your avatar to stand out more, try using gears, custom body parts, and cool clothes. But the amount of hats you're wearing should really stay at 2 or 3 max. Also, if you're wearing more than like 4 accessories, make sure not all of them are limiteds, otherwise you'll likely be seen as more of an annoying flexer than a serious Roblox veteran. Number 4, using new profile features. This is probably just a nitpicky thing, but if you're going to dress classic, please don't screw around too much with custom profile angles and poses. These are one of the newest major features that Roblox has added, and when you use them, even if you're wearing a perfect classic avatar, the instant someone goes to your profile, it immediately destroys the vibe. And finally, number 5, dressing classic or classic-esque all the time. Yeah. Guys, classic Roblox is fun. It's awesome to take a trip back to the early 2010s and the late 2000s. Things were so much simpler back then. There was much more of a community dynamic, the platform wasn't riddled with sponsorships, it was truly special. But you shouldn't stay in the past forever. Roblox gave us R15, more detailed items, and eventually UGC access for a reason, to get us to make our avatars more interesting and unique looking than they've ever been before. Just like with any other aesthetic, staying in classic Roblox forever is restrictive, and eventually you come to grow tired of it. You might have noticed this as I was talking, but my avatar actually breaks the majority of the pet peeves I just mentioned. It's wearing obvious UGC, one of which is a pretty basic hat, and it's kind of pushing the limit of the amount of accessories I recommended. It's more pseudo-classic than actually classic. And yet, I love it because it allows me to show off some of my most prized and memorable items and interests from over the years. I've always loved cyborgs, and I've always wanted a character that is a cyborg, and I personally think this avatar is cool as heck. So if you're truly trying to go with a purely classic avatar for now, the advice I've given you in this video should be very helpful. But don't let this video define what you think is cool. If you want to do something outside the bounds I've laid out in this video, and you think it'll look sick if you do, then by all means do it. Roblox is not defined by just this past, and sometimes it's good to let the dead rest for a while. Just don't call it classic when you do. Anyway, that's about it. Thanks so much for watching, I've been Nitro Lord, and I'll see you all next time. Bye!